This is a barn find CB450. The CB450 is another addition into our amazing Honda collection. We have a couple of CB750s, we have Honda GB, but the smallest bike in our collection is this CB450. Now, there are very, very few CB450s that pop up for sale. I see more 750s than 450s. We've had this one for a long time. This was a barn find that my dad found, and I mean, at the time, you could pick these bikes up for a couple $100s, and that's exactly what he did. The bike, unfortunately, in our possession, hasn't really been touched. Now, we intended to get this bike up and running and do pretty much a whole refresh on it. The bike looks worse than it is. With a good cleanup, a lot of this surface gunk is going to come off. Now, when I say it was found in a barn, I'm not saying that it was abandoned for like 50 years. It just wasn't rode for probably 3 or 4 years before my dad had it, maybe a little bit longer. But this bike does run, start, and it would probably ride if it didn't leak fuel. One of the carburetor seals is bad. We need to figure out what we need to do with that. But this is I believe a 1973. It's an early CB450. A really cool bike. You never really see them. You always see the big 750s. You know, those bikes are trading for big money now. You can spend almost $30,000 on a CB750 nowadays. But the 450 is a little overshadowed. Now, given this CB450 is only a twin, this is not the CB404. This is just a twin CB450. A very clean example, even though it might not look it. The bike runs pretty well. Everything's in fair condition, just the bike needs a little bit of TLC. And I say that generously. It's a really cool bike. Unfortunately, I will not be able to start it for you guys in today's video. If I get out of the shot, I mean, just take a look at this bike. It's a classic Honda styling that a lot of bikes are trying to mimic nowadays. Most bikes are trying to do this whole retro classic thing, but the truth is, I mean, a classic's a classic. No gimmicky technology, no anything really that's gonna break on you. These bikes will run forever. I mean, this bike was parked for multiple years before we bought it. A little bit of love, a little bit of cleaning the carburetors, because you always got to do that if fuel's left in them, and the bike fires right up. We parked it for maybe 10 years, put some gas in it, didn't even clean the carbs given we cleaned them before it was parked, and it started right up. I don't think we're going to see modern day motorcycles do that, to be honest with you. This bike has 22,000 miles on it, and if you can't tell, it's brown and gold. At first, maybe for like the first 8 years we've owned the bike, I didn't enjoy the color combination. I always questioned my dad's judgment on buying this bike. But it's grown on me, to be honest with you. I think the brown looks killer. All buffed up, polished up, get the entire motor cleaned, everything blasted, super nice. I think this is going to be an amazing rider. The smaller indicators are resemblance of an earlier model year. If we do check the tag right here, all of these bikes have a tag. And this bike, I can tell you right now, is a 1972. It was built in 872, so that either makes it a 1973 or 1972 model year. So the toolbox actually isn't located underneath these covers. It's actually located right here. And there's a little button on the side. There we go. There's a little toolkit right under there. If you guys come here, you can see that we have the entire tank assembly disconnected. Tank's disconnected because this right carburetor, it is dual carburetor. The right carburetor over here, it takes gas in and it basically just puts it straight into the motor, and then once it overflows, it just starts dripping everywhere. Honestly, classic Honda styling. If we do come into the garage, I'll show you guys the 750 I was talking about. Coming into here might be a little dark. Don't mind the Buell, yes. That bike is still damaged from its fire. Don't film it, don't film it, don't worry about that. So don't mind this bike on the side here. The red 750 right here. You can see the bigger indicators, which is a later model thing. Like I said, that's an early late model because there were even earlier models from that. If you're seeing the 750 next to it, don't worry, that bike will get its own video very soon. I mean, it might look a little dark for you guys, but man, just like the silhouette of this bike looks so good. There's not too much more to say. I'm not going to drag this video on too much longer. I just wanted to show you guys the CB450. This will be on the channel when we do clean it up, get it running. Hopefully next spring we can possibly take it out for a ride if we do end up getting it cleaned in the wintertime. that's to be determined, but I do have an ambition and a goal to get this bike done, but there's just so many other projects right now that we got to knock out. One small quirk I will leave you guys on. If you guys didn't know about these CBs, this is actually where you put the key in. Kind of a little weird. There's a little ignition spot in an uncomfortable position. I don't know. Just a weird Honda thing, I suppose. If you did enjoy, you want to see more of this bike, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I just really want to ride this bike, and I'm really excited for the day it comes.